Everyone tells you how to put the money in a 401k. Funny how it gets quiet when you ask, what's the cost of taking it out? They sell you the deposit, they skip the exit. What does that mean in real life? Could it mean that a chunk of what you've already built is claimed by taxes? Why don't you fully control when and how you can use your own money? Or what does it mean if the market drops at the wrong time? we know we lose money, but how much time do you lose trying to get it back? How many people do you think know the answer to these questions? And if you don't know the answers, do you really actually have control? See, most of the people that I talk to, they assume their plan works. Maxing out only accounts that someone in HR showed you. Staying consistent, playing it smart, and on paper, it looks like you're doing everything right. But underneath, your money isn't built fully to protect you. It's not built to give you real control or hold up when life starts lifing. And if you've been doing everything right and it still doesn't feel like you're actually on track, this is probably why. I'm going to show you the part that no one ever showed you. And once you see it, you'll understand why people say, how come no one ever showed me this? And the biggest flaw in financial plans stays hidden until it screws you. And that's the part that has top earners waking up in the morning, grabbing their phone and checking their accounts before their feet even hit the floor. Does that feel familiar? It's 5:42 in the morning. The house is quiet. Nobody's up yet. You grab your phone, you open your bank app, and everything looks fine. There's money in your accounts. You've been saving consistently, but you don't check your 401k because deep down, you already know that that number doesn't tell whether your plan actually holds up when life starts lifing. You've been doing what responsible people have been doing, but for some reason, you still don't feel like it's handled. When life starts lifing, market drops, you lose your contract, your wife auntie passes, and suddenly you're expected to carry that financial weight. You know, when life starts lifing, you're not 100% sure it all holds together. And that's the part that no one ever talks about. Because on paper, you look like you're doing everything right. But underneath, your money is still sitting in different places, each doing their own job, and no one's ever showed you how to make them work together. So, if life tested your plan right now, would it actually hold up? Type yes, no, or maybe in the chat. And okay, all right. I'm seeing a lot of no's and not sure's. Marcus says not sure. David says no. Amber says honest. She says I don't even know. And that's the point. Most people don't know because nobody ever showed them the full picture. And this is the part that just makes people feel sick. They spent years following the plan, and the plan was the problem. What if that thing that's in your gut, that one thing that just won't let you relax no matter how much you put away, what if that's not stress? What if that's your spidey sense telling you that your plan has a hole in it? I hear this all the time. I sat down with Dean in San Diego. I sat down with Colin in Boston. Now they both making 250 plus per year, and they both told me I ignored my spidey sense for years, built businesses, made money, thought I was set. Then life's hit, and you find out I wasn't. And the reason I built this masterclass is because of conversations just like that. For years, I thought as long as the money kept coming in, I was good. Then the money slowed down. And that's when the truth showed up fast. I had multiple business locations in DC, New York. I owned property, and from the outside, I looked set, making money, paying the bills, building life. I was being an adult, but I had this feeling in my gut that something wasn't set up right. And I did what most people do. I ignored it. I kept working, kept earning, and kept telling myself, I'll figure this out later. And then COVID hit. Doors closed, revenue slowed, bills kept showing up like nothing happened. And that's when it got real. Because that money that I thought was enough wasn't enough when I couldn't keep producing at the same pace. That was the punch in the mouth for me. I had built income, but I had not built protection. And once I saw that, damn, I couldn't unsee it. So I went and got real answers. I got licensed, I became a broker, and I built this around solving that exact problem. Because I needed to know, I needed to understand why some people can look fine on paper and still be financially exposed underneath. Now I help people make sure that their money actually holds up when life hits. And the last 10 minutes is the part where most people say, I wish I would have saw this sooner. Because that's where examples stop being examples. That's where we look at what actually matters to you. Your money, your timeline, your access, your tax exposure, and the people dependent on you. If you're the one responsible for making sure this actually works, this is the part you don't want to skip. So stay with me to the end. Because by the end, you're gonna know 3 things. Is your money actually growing, or is it exposed? Can you use it when life happens, or is it locked behind rules and penalties? And are you building wealth, or are you building a tax problem you'll deal with later? That's the part people usually wish they understood years sooner. Because once you see the gaps, there's no going back to guessing. And if one of those things is sitting in your setup right now, better you find it now than life find it before you do. The money game most people are playing is stupid. One bucket gets eaten alive slowly, and the other gets punched in the mouth by the market. Most people only know the 2 buckets because those are the only 2 they were ever shown. Your HR department showed you a 401k, your bank showed you the savings, and maybe some financial advisor talked you into a Roth. Maybe you started investing from something that you saw online, and every one of those people got paid when you followed their advice, whether it actually solved the problem or not. So the question becomes, if no one ever walked you through the 3rd way, was it because it didn't exist, or because the people that was teaching you about money had no reason to show it to you? Your 401k provider gets paid on your balance. Your bank earns on your deposits. Your advisor charges a percentage whether your portfolio goes up or down. So let me ask you something. Has anyone ever just sat you down and just walked you through all 3 ways your money can work? Not just the ones they sell, but all 3. Type yes or no in the chat. Almost all knows. Marcus no, David never, Amber not once, and that's not by coincidence. And that's exactly the point, guys. Once you see all 3 side by side, you're gonna start to understand why your money looks like it's fine and still not be doing enough for you. So let me lay them out side by side: protect, grow, access, and you decide which ones your money is actually using and which one is not. Most people's money is split between buckets that either feel safe and fall behind, or grow and get crushed at the wrong time. It's sitting somewhere that looks safe, but it's losing ground. It's sitting somewhere that it could grow, but it gets slammed when the market does. Or it can sit somewhere where it's protected, it can grow, and be there when you need it. So think about where your money is right now. Is most of it sitting in saving, checking, CDs? Somewhere where it feels safe? Is it sitting in the market, your 401ks, your Roth, your other investments? Or is it split up and you're just not really sure if any of it is just working together? Keep that answer in your head, because that's what we're about to break down. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly which one is helping and which ones are quietly holding you back. And let's start with the one that most people trust the most, but question the least. Your checking and your savings accounts may be the one place that you can lose money and still feel responsible for planning smart. See, safe money has a problem that has a problem that you don't feel right away. And by the time you notice it, it's already costing you. Savings, checkings, CDs, money market, cash at home. You already know these buckets. You use them your whole adult life. There's a reason why they feel safe. But here's the part most people were never really shown. That balance stays the same for years. But what that money can actually do gets weaker every single year. So let me ask you something. Do you have money sitting in your savings right now that's been there more than a year? Type yes or no in the chat. That's most people. And having money in there isn't wrong. Emergency funds, short-term access, that's what the bucket is for. The problem starts when too much money is sitting in the same place that feels safe, but it's quietly costing you. So let me show you the number that changes how people think about every dollar sitting in that savings account right now. What your saving accounts look like on paper is not what it's actually worth. Those are not the same numbers. That's the part most people were never shown. Money doesn't have to go down on paper to lose value in real life. Right now, most savings accounts are paying somewhere around 0.1% to 4% if you really shop around. In 2020, inflation was 4%. In 2021, inflation jumped up to 7%. Inflation is currently, right now, running right around 3 to 4% a year. So here's what that really means in real life. If you had about $50,000 sitting in your account about 5 years ago, right? And it may still say $50,000 today. But what that money could actually buy today is closer to about $42,000 worth of groceries, gas, mortgage payments. The account, it didn't go down, but the money still got weaker every single year. And that's the trap. It feels safe because the number doesn't move. But if that money can't keep up with inflation, that buying power just keeps shrinking. Now, fixed accounts, they still have a purpose. Emergency funds, money that you need fast, short-term access. That's smart. But when too much of your long-term money is just sitting in a place that can't outpace inflation, you're not really protecting it. You're shrinking what it can do for you later. So if fixed accounts protect, but don't really grow, what does? And the market can gut your money in 1 year and then waste the next 5 pretending it gave it back. The second way money grows is variable. Your 401k, 403b, TSP, IRAs, Roth IRAs, stocks, crypto, real estate, anything that's tied to the market. And you already know the upside. When the market's up, your account grows. Some years it grows fast. That part feels like the plan is working. But there's a part of that math that most people, including advisors, never walk you through. Let me ask you something. How much of your retirement money is in a variable account right now? 401k, Roth IRA, stocks? whatever it is. Let me ask you this. How much of your retirement money, type most, some, not sure, in the chat. Marcus, most, David, most, Amber, basically all of it. James said, all my eggs in one basket. That's what I hear from almost everyone. That's exactly what I thought. And that's why this next part hits so hard. Because once your money is sitting there, one bad year doesn't just hurt, it can trap your money in recovery. Because a drop just doesn't hit your account. It puts your money in a hole that it has to climb out of first. And that's the part most people never see coming, is how long it actually stays there. Let me show you what that looks like with real numbers. Before the drop, 100,000. After the drop, 80,000. After the recovery, 96,000. That's the math most people never get shown. In 2022, the market dropped 20% in a single year. If you had 100K invested, you watched 20,000 disappear. That's not theory. That actually happened. So, let me ask you this. After a 20% drop and a 20% rebound, how much do you think is actually backing the account? Type in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of 100Ks. I'm seeing a few said 96K. The answer is 96K. Now, here's the part that almost no one explains clearly. A 20% rebound does not get your account even, because 20% of 80,000 is only 16,000, not 20,000. You lost. Same percentage, different dollars. You're still down $4,000. Still trying to get back. That's the part people miss. A market loss just doesn't take the money. It changes the math against you. And that's why market loss hits harder than people think. Your money just been working harder just to get back where you started. And if that takes 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, that's time you don't get back. Especially if that recovery lands right when you plan to retire. So let me ask you what I ask everybody. How much can you afford to lose right now? Type it in the chat. 0, none, not a dime. That's exactly what I hear every single time. And yet, most people still have a bulk of their future sitting in accounts with no floor. Now, variable accounts can be useful for growth. I'm not telling you to pull everything out tomorrow. I'm telling you that there's a piece of the risk almost no one ever explains clearly. So here's the real question. What if you didn't have to take a full hit to get the growth? That's what we'll look at next. Did Dave Connor stop assuming that the 401k was the only smart move? Everything changed. Not because someone sold him something. It was because someone finally showed him 3 things his 401k couldn't do. And the crazy part? Connor had been maxing it out for years. Smart guy, good income, doing exactly what we've all been told to do. So when we sat down, I just asked a couple of simple questions. Connor, if the market dropped 20%, does this account protect you from those losses? Then he goes, no. Okay. If you needed that money before 59.5, could you get it without getting hit with penalties and taxes and not having to pay it back? He looked at me like he just wanted to say yes. He thought about it just a little bit longer on that one. Then he said, No. Now this his head up. When you finally retire and you start pulling this money out, does the IRS tax every dollar like income? And that's when the room usually gets quiet with everybody, because he wasn't debating the 401k. Do you think he started thinking about the parts that no one walked them through? Market drop, early access, taxes on the way out, and listen, he didn't make a bad decision. That's not the point. He did the responsible thing. He followed the plan. He's just realizing that he only been shown the front half of it. How to put the money in, how to get the tax breaks, how to put it in the market to grow, but no one really slowed down and showed him the exit. What happens when the market hits it? What happens if life makes you need it early? What happens when the IRS finally gets their turn? And once he saw that, the next question became obvious. Okay, what else can my money do? That's what we're going to look at next. And most people think that the only way to grow money is to let the market punch them in the mouth every time it has a bad year. This is where the game changes. Your money doesn't have to choose between falling behind and getting crushed. We've seen the first two buckets. Safe keeps the balance steady, and inflation eats the buying power. Market money can grow, but one bad year puts that money in the recovery mode for years. So this is the part where people usually lean in. Because we're not talking about another investment. We're talking about changing the rules of the game your money has been forced to play. Check this out. I was meeting with the client. His name is Kurt. He's a 20-year government contractor. He had about $100K sitting in a high-yield savings account. And I already know what you're thinking, because I was thinking the same thing. For what? But then he told me why. He said, Corey, I worked too hard to save this much. I don't want to put it somewhere that it can get cut in half. That makes sense. So I showed him how that same 100K could be linked to the market for growth without that same 100K taking a market loss when the market drops. His face went blank because he wasn't looking for another investment anymore. He was looking at a different way to protect what he's already built. And you'll understand what he said next in a second. They're not magic, and they're just not commonly used as fixed accounts and variable accounts. The two common versions are fixed index annuities, FIA, and index universal life, IUL. Index accounts, the simple version is that your money is linked to an index like the S&P 500. Companies like Google, Amazon, Apple, the large US companies, but it isn't directly sitting in the market. Now, I didn't tell him to move anything. I just showed him how the rules could work differently. The simple version is, when the market goes up, you can participate in all the growth of the market. When the market drops, your principal and growth is protected from the market loss. After we just saw all that recovery math, this is where not losing money is just as important as making money. Tap in the chat if this makes sense so far. James says yes, he follows. Eric says, yeah, I got it. And I also see a couple of people says, this sounds too good to be true, what's the catch? Good, you should be thinking that, because there is a catch. So the account has two numbers that you need to understand. The cap, that's the most growth they'll give you in a good year. And the floor, that protects you from a bad year. And for this example, the type of index that we're going to use has a cap of 9%. And you get all the growth in the middle and the floor is 0. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Let's say the market has a strong year and it goes up 12%. How much growth would you have in this account? 9%. That's the cap on this account. Now, let's say we had another good year and the market goes up 8%. Now, how much growth would you get in this account? 8%, because the market growth stays under the cap. Now, let's look at the year most people care about. In 2022, the S&P 500 was down about 19%. Let's round that up to 20%. And it was down 19%. Let's round up to 20% for simple math. If you had money in this index account, how much loss would your account have? Type it in the chat. Exactly 0%. You didn't earn interest that year, but your principal and your growth does not take that market loss. So this is the trade-off in plain English. So when the market has a huge year, your upside is capped. When the market has a down year, your floor protects your principal from market loss. That's the catch, and that's why this matters. You're not trying to win every single year. You're trying to stop that one bad year from forcing your money to spend the next 1, 2, 3, 5 years digging out the hole. Now, I want you to see this side by side. The same $100 in the market versus the same 100 inside of an index account. The day Connor stopped chasing market returns and started protecting what he already built, that was a shift. And you tell me if it makes sense to you too. Let's do the math and let's keep it super simple. Let's say you got $100 in the market. Now, let's say the market drops 50%. Now, how much money would you say is in your account now? Type it in the chat. Yep, you're right. 50 bucks. Now, let's just say that market goes back up 50%. Now, how much is in the account now? Type it in the chat. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of people say $100. Yeah, seeing $100. But what's 50% of $50? Yep. $25. So you're actually at $75, not $100. That's the part most people miss. The problem isn't the loss. The problem is the time it takes to recover. So now let's look at that same 100 and let's put it inside of an index account. Same bad year, market drops 50%. And how much is in the account now? Type it in the chat. Correct. Still 100 bucks. You didn't earn anything, but you didn't lose your principal either. And that's the point. Now, when the market's trying to recover, you're not starting from that 50, you're starting from 100. Now, does it make sense? Not losing money is just as important as making money. Type in the chat, yes or no. The market account is trying to recover from 50. The index account is still starting from 100. And that changes everything. Because now the question isn't, how much did I make this year? It's, how much time did I avoid losing because I didn't have to rebuild what was already mine? That's why principal protection matters. You're not just protecting money. You're protecting the time it would have took to get back what you already built. Remember Kurt, the government contractor with $100K in savings? He moved forward. Last month, he told me, Corey, I wish I would have done this 5 years ago. Not because he made a fortune, because he finally stopped worrying about whether his money would hold up. Now, index accounts, they're not all built the same. So next, let's talk about the ones that separate the ones that are structured right from the ones that can actually hurt you. Some of you have already done the homework. You've already read the reviews late at night. You've gone down the Reddit rabbit hole. I was talking to Eric, father of 2 boys, and he said, I don't want to get locked into something I don't fully understand. I said, good. Eric, you should be thinking that. And is it fair to say that some of you are thinking that right now? Because the fear isn't wrong. You just need to know what to look for in a plan that's sitting right in front of you. Because if you're the one putting in the hours, paying the mortgage, protecting your family, and making the decisions, you should be able to see the chessboard before $1 moved. The scary part isn't moving your money into something that sounds good, then later finding out the fees, the limits, the access rules, or the exit rules were never explained clearly. That's where people get burned. So don't just ask, does it sound good? Ask, can I explain how this works before I put my family's money in it? Can I see the cap? Can I see the floor? Can I see the cost? Can I see how I can access my money? Can I see what happens if I need to get it out? That's the difference between a red flag and a green flag. You don't need more information. You need to find the part of your money plan that breaks before life finds it and breaks it for you. So let's get real for a second. Where's your plan actually exposed right now? Number 1, access and control. If something happened tomorrow, could you get your money, or is it locked up behind rules and penalties? Number 2, retirement income. Do you actually know what your numbers will pay you every single month? Or are you hoping that the numbers work when it's time to stop working? Number 3, protection. If the market drops a year before you need the money, do you have a floor, or are you rebuilding what you've already earned? Number 4, tax-free income. When you finally start using the money, how much are you actually keeping and how much goes straight back to the IRS? Type 1, 2, 3, or 4 where your plan is weakest right now. I'm seeing a lot of 2s, retirement income, I don't want to guess any more answers. A few 4s, tax-free income, that's the I don't want to build a bigger tax problem answer. And here's the point. Whatever number that you typed, that's not random. That's the part of your plan that's probably isn't as strong as it should be. And if you're the one responsible making sure that this works, that's probably the part that you need to see clearly before life tests it. A few minutes ago, you typed the thing that matters most to you. Some of you type access because you don't want your money locked up when life happens. Some type retirement income because you don't want to guess what you can actually live on. Some type protection because you don't want one bad stretch setting you back for years. Some type of tax-free income because you don't want to build money just to hand more of it back later. That wasn't random. That's the part of your plan you already don't trust. And if you're the one responsible for making sure that it works, guessing isn't enough. So the real question is simple. So what does that look like with your money, your income, your account, your taxes, your timeline, and your family? Because examples are easy. The part that matters is whether that same gap is sitting inside of your setup right now, or if you're just been hoping it's not. That's what we'll look at next. The worst time to find out that your plan has a hole in it is when life is already charging you for it and you can't fix it fast enough. That's why this next step is simple. We look at your actual numbers, your income, your account, your taxes, your timeline, and we'll find out whether that gap is sitting in your setup right now. And at this point, you've seen enough to know that that hole is real. You've seen how that money can look on paper and still break when you actually need it. So now, the only question is that happening in your plan? Because this is where the guessing stops. This is the missing step 2. I've already did step 1 with you. Now we get to check the real numbers. This is where we take an actual look at your numbers, your income, your accounts, your taxes, your timeline, and see what's really going on. Because if you're the one responsible for making sure this actually works, this isn't something you leave to guesswork. This is what serious people do before life forces their hand. We can break it down into 5 parts. First, the fit check. Does it even make sense for your income, your timeline, and what you're trying to accomplish? Second, the access check. Can you actually use the money when life hits, or is it locked up behind rules and penalties? Third, the tax exposure check. Where are you going to get hit later, and how much are you actually building are you going to keep? Fourth, the floor versus risk check. What happens in a bad year? Does your plan hold, or does it get pushed backwards? No pressure exit. If it fits, I'll show you exactly what the next move is. If it doesn't, I'll tell you that too. Not on a slide, not in theory, on your plan. But your numbers decide whether it actually works for you or against you. By the end, you're either going to know exactly what the next move is, or you'll know to leave everything right where it is. But either way, you won't be guessing anymore. That's what this private session is for. Let's be honest. If we get on a call and it does make sense for you, I'm going to show you what it could look like. But if it doesn't make sense, if you're ready, if you're not ready, that's why this conversation is simple. We start with your situation, what you've got, what you're trying to do, and what you said actually matters to you.
Then we'll map out what a plan could actually look like.
If it fits. And if it doesn't, I'll tell you that too. There's nothing to commit to. No pressure to move forward. Look, even if you do nothing right now, at least you'll know where you stand. Best case, you'll find something that actually solved the gap that you called out earlier. And whether you do something today, next week, 6 months, or even a year from now, at least you've got a plan in your back pocket. So when you're ready, you're not starting from scratch. Either way, you leave with clarity and control. Most people don't need more information at this point. They need to know what to do with what they just learned. So when you book the session, here's what you'll walk away with. First, you'll see where your money is actually growing, where it's locked up, where it's exposed, and where taxes being hit later. Second, you'll know whether an index strategy actually fits your income, your timeline, and the people depending on you to protect them. Third, you'll leave with a real next step. Not more notes, not another think about it moment, a clear direction. And whether you move today, next week, 6 months from now, or even a year from now, you have a plan in your back pockets. So when life starts lifing, the market drops, you don't get picked up for the next contract. When your wife says that you need new windows, or when you're finally ready to make a move, you're not starting from scratch. That's the value of the session. You're not guessing, you're not reacting, you know what the next move is. And if you're the one responsible for making sure your family is protected and your money is handled, that matters. This is how people stay ahead. They don't wait until something breaks to figure it out. This is what it looks like when someone actually takes control of their situation. So, guys, here's what I want you to do. Click the button below, pick a time, book a session. Bring your retirement balance, what you're putting away monthly, and the number that you typed in the chat. We'll use that to map out your real numbers and see exactly where that plan stands. And if it doesn't fit, I'll tell you. Hold on. I'm already seeing a few of you moving. James just said he booked good. Couple more just came through too. All right. Okay. That's exactly what we're here to do. And where was I? And yeah, if it doesn't fit, I'll tell you that too. And again, click the link below, pick a time, book a session. The people sleeping down the hall are either protected by your plan or exposed by your assumptions. And the worst time for your family to find out that your plan had holes is after you're not there to fix them. Think about those nights when you're still up at 1 a.m. Not because you want to be up, but because your mind just won't shut off. Mortgage is due in 9 days, and your wife just brought up, we need a bigger house. Private school just went up, your retirement account just took another hit, and you're sitting there wondering, am I really building enough, or am I just keeping up? And then at some point, you get up and you check on your kids. One kicked off the blanket, one is sideways in the bed, and in that quiet moment, you make the same promise a lot of parents make. I got them. Hold that thought for a second. If something happened to that plan and it didn't hold up the way you thought it would, what would that actually mean for them? That promise needs more than just effort behind it. It needs something that actually holds up when life tests it. So when you say it, you're not hoping it's true. You know it's handled. Okay, I see Anthony. Anthony just said he's booked. Jessica's in. MK390 is booked. Good. That means that this is landing the way it should. Because this isn't about buying something tonight. It's about making sure that that promise has something behind it. Because this isn't about money. It's about whether that promise that you make in the dark actually holds up in real life. And a year from now, you're either going to be glad that you looked at these numbers, or you're going to be asking yourself, why did I wait? Because if nothing changes, the same questions are going to be sitting there. The same pressure, the same uncertainty, the same late night math running through your head. How much does that actually cost you? How much does that cost your family? And if you're the one responsible for making sure this is handled, guessing isn't a strategy. Click the link below, pick a time, and let's look at your real numbers. If it fits, I'll tell you exactly what the next move is. Ian just said he's booked, LL Lee is booked, Emmanuel just said, how come no one has ever shown me this before? And he's booked. And again, if it fits, you'll know exactly what the next move is. If it doesn't, I'll tell you that too. Even if you're not ready right now, you'll have a plan in your back pocket. So when the next year does come, you're not sitting there guessing. You already know what to do. At least you'll know you've handled it.